Hey guys, it's Amanda. It is middle grade March, and I have my TBR to share with you with all of the prompts. As you remember, middle grade March is hosted by three wonderful booktubers: Katie from Life Between Words, Krista from Books and Jams, and Amanda from On the Middle Shelf. They have given us a list of prompts for middle grade March for this year, and I have my picks and some other recommendations for you guys. The first prompt is to read a debut novel. I am going to reread When We Make It by Elizabeth, almost said Acevedo. Sisters, you know what I mean? By Elizabeth Velasquez. So this is a banned book, which I'm gonna make an entire video about this. I understand why some people wouldn't want their children to read a book like this because it showcases pain, but it's not pain that isn't real and justified, and it's not expressed in a very explicit, tasteless way. You know what I mean? Like, this is written very tastefully. There is an F-bomb in here, which I guess maybe, might be a reason why some people don't want their children to read it, which, it's your prerogative as a parent. Obviously, you want to make sure that your child is mature enough and that you're having open dialogue with them to work through some of the pain that's in this book. There is sexual assault. There is other kinds of abuse. But again, this is all written in verse. And it's not written in a very explicit way at all. Like, you know what happens, but it's not like it's pushed down your throat in a very aggressive way. I have never found a book that more accurately represented me. Elizabeth Velasquez is a Puerto Rican from Brooklyn, and I am Puerto Rican from Brooklyn. So I always say that New York is its own culture, it's its own universe, really. And if you grew up in New York, there's so many cultural differences being there, and she really gets it. Every single poem, I was like, oh my gosh, yes, like, right? But it is painful. It's a painful place to live. It was a painful way to grow up. But that's all valid, and it's beautiful, and it's real, and it's true. But it does need to be discussed. I would say at least that like, if you can't just give this to a child and not discuss it, maybe for a book club, maybe for like a girls group or anyone really, but maybe for a book club, maybe a read aloud in class read, like a buddy read or something together with the children so that you're discussing it throughout. But we need way more representation in this area. And I also feel like all of the books that I've picked up from and about Puerto Ricans and the Puerto Rican experience in New York particularly is filled with a lot of pain, which is true. I just can't wait to get to the point where we're writing joyous stories, where we're writing, stories that are not just recounting how painful it was. It's very true, and it's honest, and it's real, and it's beautiful. But I want a different narrative for us. You know what I mean? Eventually. This is gorgeous, and I will read it again. I listened to it on audio. Highly recommend it on audio because her voice is just perfect. Reading it yourself doesn't do it justice. This is one that you need to listen to on audio. By the way, I am wearing my middle grade March shirt that I got from their Etsy shop with Ramona and Matilda and Pippi and Harriet and Anne on there. Love it so much. I also got another one you'll see in the next video in my middle grade era. Okay, most of these books I got from thriftbooks.com. The next prompt is to read a book about an immigrant or refugee story. So I have a few for that. This one is The Year I Flew Away. This is by Marie Arnold. It says, everything is changing for 10-year-old Gabrielle. She had to leave her friends and family back in Haiti, and now she lives in America with relatives she hardly knows. She's having a hard time learning English. Someone at school is bullying her, and she can't get rid of her accent. One fateful night, she meets a powerful witch who offers her 3 slices of mango. Each one will grant her a wish. Gabrielle knows better than to trust the witch, but she can't resist. With these wishes, She'll be able to make friends and fit in. But magic always comes with a price, and before long, Gabrielle is fighting to save everything that's important to her. The Year I Flew Away is a magical and empowering story about finding your place while remaining true to yourself. So this one was actually recommended to me by one of my students. She says she loved it. I'm excited about that one. This one is When the Stars Are Scattered. This is a graphic novel, which is exciting. Omar and his younger brother Hassan have spent most of their lives in Dadaab, a refugee camp in Kenya. Life is hard there, never enough food, achingly dull, and without access to the medical care Omar's nonverbal brother needs. So when Omar has the opportunity to go to school, he knows it might be a chance to change their future, but it would also mean leaving his brother, his only remaining family member, every day. Heartbreak, hope, and gentle humor exist together in this graphic novel about a childhood spent waiting and a young man who is able to create a sense of family and home in the most difficult of settings. Excited to read this one. I'm not sure. So I'm not going to read every single one of these that I'm showing you. I have to choose between. These are the ones that I pulled out to choose from. So the next one is The Land of Forgotten Girls by Erin Entrada Kelly. It has this sticker because I got it from Thrift Books. So this one is about, so this one doesn't have a synopsis. Oh, yeah. Okay. So synopsis is on the first page. This one says, there is a lot to discover in the land of forgotten girls. Soledad knows the stories she tells her little sister Ming aren't true, that evil Vea will never be her real mother, and that Louisiana is not the same as the Philippines. But there is so much more that Sol doesn't know, like how new friends can arrive in remarkable and unexpected ways, like how you can dig deep down inside yourself for strength, even when things get really bad. Like how little sisters can be protectors too, and fierce. And how stories can be more than stories sometimes. How they can even be lifelines when you really need them. So this family goes from the Philippines to Louisiana, and that sounds really lovely to read about. I might choose that one. I don't know. I might read them all. Okay, and then the last one actually covers 2 of the prompts. It's this prompt, which is to read a refugee or immigration story, and the next prompt, which is to read a book with 1 word for the title, and that is Refugee by Alan Gratz. I always recommend this book. I think I read it 2 or 3 times already. This follows 3 children. One is trying to escape Fidel Castro in Cuba, another one is trying to escape Nazi Germany, and another one is trying to escape Assad in Aleppo. And it is the story of their journey as refugees to other countries. And it's gripping and it's beautiful, and I will read it again. I'm always recommending it to students, so yeah, that's a really great one. I have a huge list of books with 1-word titles. I'm just going to show them to you, and then I'll tell you which one I'm thinking of reading for March. We have Chains, Squished, Schooled, Ghost, Posted, Stamped, Mouse, Restart, Tangerine, Unbound, and Crenshaw. So I have already read Crenshaw, loved it. Unbound, loved it. This is written in verse also. I've read Ghost a couple of times, loved it, highly recommend. I read Chains, loved it. I read Stamped, also loved that. So of the ones that I haven't read, I'm thinking I might read Squished. It says 11-year-old Avery Lee loves living in Hickory Valley, Maryland. She loves her neighborhood, school, and the end of summer fair she always goes to with her 2 best friends. But she's tired of feeling squished by her 6 siblings. They're noisy and chaotic, and the younger kids love her a little too much. All Avery wants is her own room, her own space to be alone and make art. So she's furious when Theo, her grumpy older brother, gets his own room instead, and her wild baby brother Max moves into the room she already shares with her clingy sister Pearl. Avery hatches a plan to finally get her own room, all while trying to get Max to sleep at night, navigating changes in her friendships, and working on an art entry for the fair. And when Avery finds out that her family might move across the country, things get even more complicated. So that is a graphic novel, and it just looks so cute. I kind of glimpsed at the beginning of it, and it's just really adorable. And it might be like a nice, fun, quick read. So that is high up there. This one is about a child who was homeschooled and then wound up going to a public school and what that transition was like. I read some reviews and I saw some reviews on YouTube that said that this is really kind of, this really misunderstands homeschooled students, and really paints them in like a very stereotypical light and puts them kind of in a box. But I'd like to see for myself. I don't know that I'm going to get to this month. I'll probably prioritize Squished over that one. Restart is by the same authors, by Gordon Corman. This is about a child who falls off of a roof, loses his memory, and then has to get it back. But when he goes to school, all kinds of things are happening that he has to kind of figure out what's going on. And he gets a new lease on life and gets to start over, which sounds really fun, and it might be fast-paced and exciting. The synopsis for Tangerine says, Paul Fisher's older brother is a high school football star, but to Paul, he's no hero. Paul's own game is soccer, which he plays even though he has to wear thick glasses because of a mysterious eye injury. When the Fishers move to Tangerine, Florida, Paul tries to make sense of things, but it's not easy. In Tangerine, underground fires burn for years and lightning strikes the same practice field every day. Strange things happen here all the time, but nothing is stranger than the secrets Paul discovers about his brother, his new group of friends, and his own dangerous past. Ooh, that sounds good. I've had this book on the shelves forever, and I've never read it. That might be one that I read this month. Mouse is another graphic novel. This is about Nazi Germany, but the characters are mice, and it's very, very popular. Look at that. It's all black and white. It's very popular. I'm going to say I'm going to read that this month. Posted is about a school in which, it's a middle school in which the cell phones were taken away. So students start to use Post-it notes to leave notes to each other, and then the Post-its go all over the place apparently. The kids leave like really mean notes sometimes, and I guess the point is to learn the power of words. This seems like a really good one. I don't think I'm going to read that one this month though. Maybe later. For this prompt, I'm probably going to read Mouse, Squished, and maybe Tangerine. Probably. The next prompt is to read a book with an animal on the cover. I have quite a few for this one too. So I'm going to show you the ones that I pulled from my shelves, and then I'm going to tell you which one I'm leaning towards reading the most. Okay, so This Seed Saved is actually a Christian novel. It's a Christian book. It says, middle school, a new world with new rules. I knew there'd be changes in middle school, but I didn't know it was going to be the absolute worst. It started in the lunchroom when I tried to sit down next to my best friend. She said the most terrible words. This seat's saved. Where would I sit now? Was anyone saving a seat for me? And that was just the beginning of my problems. I didn't expect to be bullied or falsely accused of a serious crime. And even worse, I was becoming someone I didn't like at all. How did I survive? With the help of a fox, 2 new friends, and an older woman from the woods. That sounds fun. I don't know much else about this. I know that it's labeled a Christian book. I don't know how that's interwoven into the story, but I am looking forward to reading this one. El Defo. This is about a student who has a hearing disability. Obviously, it is a graphic novel. The characters are bunnies. Yeah, this one seems really awesome. And I'm kind of leaning towards the graphic novels because I don't read many, and so I'm probably going to read this one. Then we have Counting by Sevens, which has fish on the cover. It says 7 things to know about Willow Chance. 1, she's different, as in strange, and a genius. 2, almost everything interests her, but some things like plants and medical conditions interest her more than others. 3, she has learned the hard way that life can be extremely unfair. 4, she understands that family is what you make it, and that the people who understand you and choose to have you in their lives are the most important people. 5, she doesn't have a lot of friends, but she would do anything for the ones she does have. 6, she knows that the most wonderful thing in the world is feeling like you belong. 7, her story will make you laugh, cry, and appreciate your friends, family, and the things around you in a whole new way. So apparently Willow has a lot of medical conditions, and she's a genius, and she is comforted by counting to 7 or by 7s. I guess by Sevens, right? This one sounds really, really good. And it looks like it has very short, quick chapters. And it's written in a way that will make it pretty fast paced. So I'm probably going to read this one. I keep saying that. I don't know how many I can get through. I can't just like read. Before, I used to be able to read like 9 books a month. That's not really the case anymore. I'm also reading the group read this month. So I need to be realistic. Okay. This next one with an animal on the cover is Hello Universe. Has a little doggy there. Virgil Salinas is shy and misunderstood. Valencia Somerset is clever and stubborn. Kaori Tanaka tells fortunes and can read the stars. Chet Bullins is the biggest bully in the neighborhood. They aren't friends, they're practically strangers, but when Chet pulls an unthinkable prank on Virgil and his pet guinea pig, Gulliver, these 4 middle schoolers are thrown together in surprising ways. Just a coincidence? Or are some things meant to be? This sounds really lovely too. We also have Rain, which has this dog or silhouette of a dog on the front. This one says, Rose Howard is obsessed with homonyms. She's thrilled that her own name is a homonym, and she purposely gave her dog Rain a name with 2 homonyms, Rain, which according to Rose's rules of homonyms is very special. Not everyone understands Rose's obsession, her rules, or other things that make her different. Not her teachers, not other kids, and not her single father. When a storm hits their rural town, rivers overflow, roads are flooded, and Rain goes missing. Rose's father shouldn't have let Rain out. Now Rose has to find her dog, even if it means leaving her routines and safe places to search. Hearts will break and spirits will soar for this powerful story, brilliantly told from Rose's point of view. So this one was highly recommended on BookTube. It made its rounds, especially last year during middle grade March, and that's what really made me pick it up. Yeah, so that's an option. And then we have Fish in a Tree, which has this fish on the front. And Fish in a Tree is about a little girl who goes through life with undiagnosed dyslexia. I particularly love books about students who see the world differently or who experience the day-to-day traditional way of doing things differently. So this one, and it's been sitting on my shelf for a long time too. I mean, I've seen it for a long time. I've come across this book many times and I've never read it, and I really, really want to. So that's another option. And then we have The Last Wild. The Last Wild says, Kester Janes can't speak. And in a world where animals are slowly fading into extinction, 12-year-old Kester feels as if he hardly exists either. He's been locked away in a home for troubled youths and is unable to say even a single word to defend himself. But one night, a flock of talking pigeons and a bossy cockroach suddenly arrive to help him escape, and he discovers that he can speak to animals. And the animals have brought him a long way to tell him something important. They need his help. Adorable. It also has there is a sequel. It says here on the back, it's called The Dark Wild, which is always fun when there's more than one. So that's an option for the animal on the cover prompt. And then the last prompt is to read a book that you feel like you missed out on. So for this one, I have 2. One of them is Percy Jackson, which surprisingly I haven't read. My oldest daughter was obsessed with this, and she's watching the Netflix show now, and she loves it. She says that it's a really good book to screen adaptation. But I mean, and all of my students have read this. I just haven't. There's this one. There is Wings of Fire, which every middle school kid loves. Wings of Fire. This is the graphic novel version that all the kids swear by. I haven't read this one yet. And this one, which has been on my daughter's shelf her whole life almost. This one has been on my older daughter's shelf forever, for at least a decade. And it was the cover that made me not read it. I was never attracted to this cover. I was like, okay, out of my mind. There's a fit. It just didn't interest me because of the cover. And then when I decided to look into it, and I saw that it was about a girl with cerebral palsy, and that it is her internal narrative that goes on in her mind, and how she's so misunderstood because she can't verbally express herself and she doesn't have control over her body. I just found this so fascinating. And I think it's something that should be required reading. Everyone should read this. People need to know. There is a video of Joe Biden meeting a man named Sam who had cerebral palsy, and he was infantilizing him and speaking to him as if he just didn't understand anything. And that can be chalked up to nothing other than ignorance, not knowing. You know, a lot of people just don't know. You assume what someone's level of understanding is based on what they look like, their outward appearance. That's not something that should happen, and it can be avoided if we read more fiction about people who are different, because it'll give us a better understanding and teach us how we can interact with them, and what their lived experience actually is, and it'll give us more empathy and the ability to relate. So yeah, I'm reading this one. Absolutely, this one is going to be read. Okay, so let's see. What am I reading this month? These are all of my options, and this is what I think I'm going to land on, and then I will give you an update as we go along through the month. So I think this is going to be my final TBR. Okay, so for debut novel, it's going to be When We Make It. One word title, I'm going to do Squished and Mouse. Immigration or refugee story, I'm thinking When Stars Are Scattered and The Land of Forgotten Girls. Maybe this one though. And then one with the animal on the cover is going to be Counting by Sevens. And one that I missed out on, we're going to do Wings of Fire and also Out of My Mind. So a lot of graphic novels this month. Anyway, I'll let you know how it goes. Thank you for watching. Please let me know what you're going to be reading for middle grade March. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.